guys, what's going on? It's Ultimus. Gonna hit the ground with both feet running on this one, with a ton of information still coming out and everything kind of settling as the dust settles and everything being articulated and put into proper articles and posts all over the place on MMO Champion, Wowhead, and of course the Blizzard websites as well. There's a lot of information to still process. They dropped a lot of content on us at BlizzCon, so what I want to do with this one, because I am definitely interested in the class changes. Basically, every class is being reworked to a degree. Some specs in classes more than others. One class we knew going into BlizzCon that was going to get hit pretty hard was Hunters. A completely revamping and reworking of the survival spec, going over from ranged and traps to lots of melee. Still emphasizing traps, but melee hunters, spears, no more bows, absolutely none for survival hunters. And so I figured, since Blizzard posted an article for them in the class overview section, which of course I will link down below, I thought we'd hit this one up first, so if nothing else, I could at least bring it to your guys' attention, and if you want, you can check it out yourself. Now, I'm not going to read everything here, but I will start off with this little paragraph right here, because I do agree with this, and so I figured it's worth starting off our video with. In many ways, Hunter design in Legion embodies our key philosophies for class change. Hunters have a strong core fantasy. They're masters of tracking prey, experts at sniping enemies with bows and guns from a distance, tamers of wild beasts, and trappers of unsuspecting foes. The challenge with the Hunter class in WoW is that for the most part, while all three specs deliver that basic fantasy, the distinction between them is very minimal. In Legion, we're focused on better differentiating those specializations to deliver more dynamic and varied experiences. So again, what their goal and what their philosophy is for all specs and all classes is to really emphasize and set apart why you're playing that spec. For example, for warriors, you know, if you love being a raging berserker and attacking fast, then Fury is going to be the spec for you, and it's going to play very different than Arms, which is a more concentrated, focused, precise strike of your weapon. And they've gotten this right with some classes and specs, but not others. Other classes that are of course being completely reworked in this sense are rogues. They're getting their combat spec replaced with Outlaw, which is changing the way they're doing stuff. They've noted that they're going to get like snares and hooks and stuff like that, which should be very, very interesting gameplay. Shadow Priest are being completely reworked, and I can't wait to go over those with you guys, because some of the changes I've read so far look really cool. Disc is getting reworked, so is Holy. Holy Paladins are getting touched. I mean, everything is getting just hit with this. So with Beast Mastery, the gameplay of Beastmasters were already in a good place overall, they felt, but we've redefined existing abilities and talents to better differentiate them from other hunters. Previously, Cobra Shot filled all of your free moments in combat, leaving no time for managing your pet, which should be a defining characteristic of Beastmasters. To this end, and to aid of focused accumulation, Dire Beast is now the core to Beast Mastery, allowing you to repeatedly summon wild beasts that generate additional focus for you through their every attack. Sounds like hell for anyone fighting a hunter. But again, so they're really wanting to just emphasize the fact that you're a Beast Mastery hunter, and you're playing a Beast Mastery hunter because you want to mess around with a ton of animals. You want a friggin' zoo to come out of your back pocket. You're just throwing Pokeballs out there everywhere. So they want you to just focus more on managing your pets and having your pets be the core focus of your damage, as opposed to your bow. Obviously, you're still going to have your bow or your gun. I forget which one is which. I'm not gonna lie. I think Beastmaster gets the gun. Beastmaster gets that gun. So you're still gonna have your range, but it's not gonna be the core focus of your damage. And they give you an idea of Beastmaster Hunter in action. Here's a basic look at their core combat abilities. So we got a list of some of their core abilities here. We're getting Cobra Shot, which is 30 focus, 40-yard range. It's an instant cast. A quick shot that causes moderate physical damage. Dire Beast has a 40-yard range, instant cast, 10-second cooldown. Summons powerful wild beast to attack your target for 8 seconds. Each time the beast deals damage, you will gain 4 focused. Summoning a beast reduces the remaining cooldown of Bestial Wrath by 15 seconds. That's kind of cool. So it allows you to cycle through your Bestial Wrath even quicker. Be curious to see what the standard cooldown on that is going to be. Kill Command. 20 focus, 25-yard range from the pet, not the hunter. That's a huge difference there. I'm sure people that play hunters are used to that kind of stuff anyways. But as someone who plays a warrior and is leveling up a hunter alt, that's stuff that's definitely different to me, that's for sure. But it's an instant with a 6-second cooldown. Give the command to kill, causing your pet to instantly inflict strong damage to its target. Wild Call is a passive. Your critical strikes have a 30% chance to reset the cooldown of Dire Beast. And of course, your Mastery is Master of Beast, increases the damage done by your pets by 45% with Mastery from typical gear. So again, of course, all this is subject to change, but it gives us a kind of a breakdown of what you can expect from a Beast Mastery Hunter. Additionally, to provide a glimpse at how some talents may build upon this, here's an example of a Beast Mastery specific talent. Way of the Cobra is a passive. For every pet or guardian you have active, Cobra Shot deals an additional 5% damage. So more pets, more damage, essentially. And again, I'll be curious how this works out, because again, they've been talking about what they want to do with the talent trees, and they don't want necessarily to have specific tiers. They want you to kind of have your talents all over the place that you can kind of pick and choose as you want depending on your encounter, or I suppose what would be most common for me would be your arena matchup and what you'd be coming up against in a BG or an arena fight. And so they want you, and I was going over some of the Q&A sessions and the panels and stuff, and they really want you to feel dedicated to a spec. You're still going to be able to do off specs. They did confirm triple specs in Legion, which is a trip. I never thought we'd have it, but it's coming from what I've been able to gather. They are confirming tri-spec, I should say. And so leveling up your artifact weapon for your other specs is going to be slower than your main, but or I should say it will level up at an accelerated rate for the sake of catch-up. But the idea is that whatever off specs you have will be behind as opposed to your main spec. And they really want you to be able to play whatever spec you want. There's really trying to get in touch with not having classes being a point to where you can't come because you're not a marksman hunter. Sorry. It's like you play a hunter, we just need a hunter. And so whatever it is you bring to the table can be viable. Whether or not that will be able to be accomplished, that's yet to be seen. But it is definitely a valiant attempt. And I think if so far what we're seeing, I really do think they'll be able to pull it off. I do have a lot of hopes for it. Pretty cool little image there of our hunter friend with her polearm and her wolf. So survival. Again, the big change. Survival is being revamped entirely. Again, this is the one that's getting melee. Melee. Gameplay. Not only do survival hunters use melee weapons instead of ranged weapons, they're also now the only hunters that make use of traps. Other specs will receive forms of crowd control and AoE damage suited to their distinct characteristics. Survival hunters will snare and bleed their enemies, fighting them in close quarters with their trustworthy companion to maximize the brutality of the hunt. They have no direct control over focused regeneration, but instead pool it up during successful mongoose bites to further amplify the damage they inflict. Very interesting. So you still get a pet, but they're going to be the only hunter spec that emphasizes traps. And every other spec is going to still get some AoE and CC, but it looks like survival hunters are going to be the unique ones in that they get traps, them and them alone. So it'll be interesting to see what arena matches and PvP goes like with other hunters. Interesting. That's a very interesting mechanic, I think. Instead of having direct control over focus regeneration, instead they pool it up during successful mongoose bites to further amplify the damage they inflict. Definitely reminds me a little bit of how Overpower used to work for warriors. I think it was in MOP, how successful heroic strikes gave you a stack of Overpower, if I remember correctly. So you're able to pull that up, except those were charges, not a full resource. Interesting. But I do think it is cool as someone who, maybe actually you probably guys don't actually know this about me and my WoW career, but the very first tune I ever leveled was a Night Elf Hunter. I got it to level 26 before I got my own account and all that stuff. And so as someone who's got roots, nostalgia vanilla roots in a hunter, that's kind of cool to see them bringing Mongoose Bite back, Raptor Strike, and all those good things, Wing Clip. So that'll be kind of cool to see all that back in WoW. And so they're going to give us a breakdown of a basic look at the core combat abilities for survival hunters. You're getting Harpoon. It's a 5 to 40 yard range, instant, 15-second cooldown. You're going to hurl a harpoon at your target and pull yourself towards them, rooting them in place for 3 seconds. So think if you've played Heroes of the Storm or if you played Diablo with that chain throw, I always forget what it's called, but basically what pulls you toward the target, something very similar. I like that. Think reverse death grip essentially, or basically would be kind of like a charge in a sense for a warrior. Pretty gnarly range on that. 5 to 40 yard range. What is, I think warrior charge is 30 yards? I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to take a look at that. That's probably the stuff I should know off the top of my head, but I don't because I'm a dummy. Raptor Strike, 20 focus, melee range, instant, a vicious slash dealing moderate physical damage. Laceration, 35 focus, melee range, instant, 10-second cooldown. Terror Wound in the target dealing heavy damage over 12 seconds. Developer comment, we promise it will do good damage. Well, now they've promised us, so they better deliver. I'm gonna write them, and every other hunter, I'm sure. Mongoose Bite, melee range, instant, 10-second recharge, 3 charges. A brutal attack attempting to sever the enemy's limbs, dealing strong physical damage. I wish, on a side note, I really wish there was some kind of animation in the game for kicks and giggles that you actually saw, like someone's like leg or arm just fall off. I would totally make a macro anytime my leg or arm fell off that says it's only a flesh wound. I want that to be a thing. I so want that to be a thing. Oh, where was I before I distract myself too much? Each consecutive Mongoose Bite dealt with in 3.5 seconds, and the last will deal 50% increased damage, stacking up to 6 times. That I don't see going live, but we'll see. I don't know that, because that sounds insanely strong. I mean, I guess that was definitely going to depend on how well you can pool your focus, which might differentiate the good hunters from the bad ones. I don't know, maybe. Just an idea. Thoughts on that one. But it's definitely interesting, those stacking mechanics for sure. Flanking Strike, 20 focus, 25-yard range from pet. Instant 6-second cooldown. So we're seeing an ability that is pet-centric. So again, something you're going to make use of your pet as a survival hunter. You're giving the command to kill, causing your pet to instantly inflict strong damage to its target. So basically very similar to kill command, yeah? 20 focus, 25-yard range. Yeah, 6-second cooldown. Yeah, basically the same thing as kill command, just different name. Not sure if that will change or not. Of course, as always, this is subject to change. We're getting Wing Clip, 30 focus. It's instant, maims the target, reducing their movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. Mastery is Hunting Companion. Your pet's attacks have a 20% with Mastery from typical gear. Chance to grant you an additional charge of Mongoose Bite. So again, that big one that's going to try to do a ton of damage. So this looks like this is going to be your big damage dealer here. Mongoose Bite. Since it plays into your mastery and it's going to stack up a bunch of charges. Interesting mechanics there. Interesting stuff. I think the idea of just having a melee hunter in general without emphasis or use of a ranged weapon at all is kind of cool. As someone who's leveling up every class to level 100 so I can have a better idea of what I'm going to play in Legion, this makes hunters very, very tempting. In general, like, I always preferred marksman, but survival just sounds fun as someone who's decent or prefers melee classes. I don't know, just interesting stuff. Says, additionally, to provide a glimpse at how some talents may build upon this, here's an example of one of their survival spec talents. Snake Hunter. It's an instant with a 1-minute cooldown. Instantly grants you 3 charges of Mongoose Bite. Jeez. You're just going to pull charges into this Mongoose Bite junk. My goodness, this is going to be insane. Marksmanship. My personal favorite hunter spec of choice. It was what I originally played on my hunter when I was leveling him up, and it's what I've always preferred. I just feel like for me as a hunter, I want to play something with bows and long ranges and things like that. I don't know. Pet classes in general have never specifically appealed to me for the pet mechanic. I've always enjoyed the fact that they typically tend to be hunters or ranged players, so that tends to be what I've been drawn to. So I'm definitely curious to see what they're going to do with marksmanship. They say gameplay is the lone wolf gameplay introduced in Warlords of Draenor proved extremely popular with hunters, and that play style fit perfectly with our vision of marksmanship hunters as master archers and snipers. Makes sense to me. I thought it was a cool talent they introduced in Warlords of Draenor. Some people just don't want to mess around with pet management. It's fairly complicated mechanic depending on the class and things like that. It can add a different skill cap to your class, that's for sure. All marksmanship hunters now gain Lone Wolf by default, ranging through the wilds without a pet beside them. On the resource front, the marksman now gains focus from the use of Arcane Shot. And as a note for those who enjoyed the previous version of survival gameplay, we have moved certain abilities such as Black Arrow and Lock and Load to marksmanship specific talents. So those talents that were originally part of survival are now being swapped over to marksmanship. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Talents that were a part of survival are now moving over to marksmanship. There we go. Get your tongue untwisted. Let's talk like we know what we're talking about. Here's a basic look at the core combat abilities for marksmanship. You're looking at Arcane Shot, which is a 20 or 40-yard range. It's an instant cast. A quick shot that causes moderate arcane damage and generates 5 focus. Seek Vulnerabilities is a passive. Targets hit by your Arcane Shot and multi-shot have a chance to be marked with Hunter's Mark for 6 seconds. That's kind of cool. So you're no longer casting Hunter's Mark, but it's a chance at a debuff on the target. That's interesting. Marked Shot, 30 focus, 40-yard range. It's channeled. Rapidly fires a shot up to 3 targets affected by Hunter's Mark, dealing strong physical damage, usable while moving. Also exposes vulnerability on the target, snaring them by 15% and increasing aim shot damage done to the target by 25%. Lasts 10 seconds and stacks up to 3 times. So, I mean, just what I'm gathering from this, and it seems like a pretty simple rotation, more or less. You're going to start off with Arcane Shot, because your Arcane Shot has a chance to proc Seek Vulnerabilities, which has a chance to mark your targets, which then is going to increase your damage of Mark Shot, because that's going to target the enemies that are affected by Hunter's Mark. So the ideal, I'm imagining, depending on how much AoE damage you're going to want to do, is you're going to want to get as many marks or Hunter's Mark up there, and then you're going to blast them with Mark Shot. Very, very interesting. And of course, that has a chance to stack on itself to increase its own damage because of the debuff on there. Increases exposed vulnerability. Interesting. I feel like that can get kind of crazy really quick if you're able to channel and get those marks up. Good stuff. Good stuff. Aim shot 50 focus, I should say, with a 40-yard range. 1.5 second cast. A powerful aim shot that deals strong physical damage. And then your mastery is sniper training, a critical, and they are changing the mastery for this, so keep an eye out on this one. Critical strike damage and range of all shots is increased by 12.5% with mastery from typical gear. Additionally, to give you an idea of how some talents may build upon this, here's an example of one of their marksman-specific talents. Lock and Load is a passive. Attach an explosive charge to aim shot, dealing strong additional fire damage to the target and all enemies within 4 yards. Your ranged auto attacks have a 5% chance to trigger Lock and Load, causing your next 2 aim shots to cost no focus and be instant. Very, very interesting. So, honestly, out of all this, Marksman still kind of appeals to me the most, although Survival is something that is tempting. Beast Mastery just, I've played it because it's good and it's been best in slot, but it's never been like the one that I'm drawn to. The only pet class I've really actually enjoyed playing has been my Death Knight. I'm not gonna lie. So apparently what we can expect to see soon is coming up a preview of Priest, Mages, and Paladins. So that'll be interesting. Be curious to check out Paladins for sure first, as well as Priests. I really want to see what they're doing with Shadow, because Shadow is definitely the one caster that appeals to me. I've always, ever since vanilla, I've wanted to play a Shadow Priest. I've just never had the gall or the time to level it up and try it out. But I don't know. I just feel like it's something that I've been interested in. Though Warlocks are fun as well. But all that aside, that's neither here nor there. If you guys have any questions or any comments about anything we've been going over here, please leave it in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts. And I hope you enjoyed this video, because I'm definitely planning on doing these for all the classes, unless we just get spammed with thumbs down. Then I won't touch it, and I'll profusely apologize for wasting your time. But I think it's going to do that for this video, so I'm going to wrap it up here. At the end here, though, I will say, if you haven't already, make sure to follow me on Twitter, which will be linked in the description below, as well as I now have a Facebook page for this YouTube channel, where I will post videos and interact with you guys as the opportunity arises. Link for that will be in the description as well as some of the other social medias you guys can find me on. I love to hear from you and chat with you guys and just kind of exchange and continue to build a little bit of a community here. So, hope you guys will take me up on that, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.